Good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well today. We have a great crowd to honor two of our own, and we'll get to this later in the program. We're not actually going to read them, but I just want you all to know that our two ladies today have been recognized widely. We have salutations from the Congress, the Senate, and the Governor's office, so you'll be taking those with you today. So congratulations to you. Again, good afternoon. We're thrilled to have you here, and we're going to first start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you would all rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated. Thank you. Okay, first of all, I want to thank our event sponsors today, First Financial Bank and Fort Hamilton Hospital, making this event possible for us. And it is my honor and privilege to get to introduce our keynote speaker today. Bob Herzog joined the local 12 team in 2005. He anchors Good Morning Cincinnati with John Lomax and Sheila Gray. Bob is a Cincinnati guy, and more specifically, he's a proud West Side guy. As a hometown boy, he takes special pride in getting involved in community events. Bob graduated from Oak Hills High School and Xavier University. He also obtained a law degree from Chase College of Law at Northern Kentucky University. Bob gained popularity with his Dance Party Friday segments on Local 12 and is always entertaining with a sense of humor. He loves all kinds of music and movies and has a passion for basketball, but his number one hobby is spending time with his wife and 4 children. He probably regrets me sharing this with him, but I said I'm sitting there with my Life cereal, yogurt, and white grapes every morning. That's how I wake up with Bob Herzog. So please help me welcome Bob Herzog.
Dave, thank you so much. And congratulations to Cindy and Sarah for the awards they'll be receiving later today. I'm honored to be here. I have to be honest, when I was asked to come out and speak to you today, I thought small business. Don't know a thing about that. So I wasn't sure I was necessarily the right selection for this gig. But I started to think about it a little bit and came to a couple of different conclusions. You know, I work for Local 12. I have this job where I'm not producing a product of some kind, so to speak, and it's a huge company that owns Local 12 now. So what could I possibly have in common with a lot of people who are going to be hanging out at a small business luncheon? And I thought to myself, maybe the one thing is you have to care so much about what you do because it's your thing. It's your thing. And for me, it's somewhat similar in that my product, what I do, right? I mean, it's me. I mean, I sort of am my product in a weird way. I mean, I work for this huge company, but in a sense, what I do is this. People have to trust in me. They have to know that I care about my community. I care about where I live. Because if they can't trust that, then they can't trust what I'm telling them. And if I can't be real to them, then I've got no future in the business. They have to be able to trust me. And in the same sense, I would imagine for a small business owner, it's got to be very much the same for you. Certainly you all have a product or a service that people want, right? Or you wouldn't have a business. You'd be under. But in some sense, it goes beyond that, because if it's your thing, if it's you, then your product or service is you. And so I'm right there with you. No, not really, but in a sense. I was trying to find some connection. I've been working on that analogy the entire time I was driving out here up I-75. I'm not sure if it played at all, but it's what we're going with. Dad talked about waking up with me in the morning. That's still one of the just strangest things in my mind. As I go in, I have this job. I get up at about 2:45. I head in. We hit the air at 4:25. Any really, really early risers in the room who are actually there at 4:25 when we go on the air? Okay, so a couple. Literally 2. So thanks. Seriously. But it is kind of funny because I can remember when we first decided we were going to go on at 4:25 in the morning. And I thought, who in the name of God is awake at 4:25 in the morning watching television? And it's you two, which is great. No, but there are many others as well because social media, thank goodness, people are tweeting, they're Facebooking, they're up, they're telling us that they are watching, so we know that they are there. And again, that speaks to something else. Your job, it starts early. If you're going to get up and get going and you're the person who's making everything happen, you got to be the first one there. You're up, you're at 'em, and you're moving. And that's kind of like my job as well. But I told you my job is just kind of what I do largely is me. If people don't believe me or they don't want to hear me talk, you may already be tired of it. They're not going to watch. And so I think being from around here and just being myself, in a sense, has sort of helped me in that way. Because sort of what you see is what you get. I'm not raise the eyebrow anchorman guy. You know what I'm talking about? Like, and now the news. It's not my deal. I want people to know that I'm just this guy. I'm just this guy who lives in a house about 5 miles away from where I grew up. In typical West Side fashion, let's look up here at some of our fine sponsors. If my mom's house is Butler Tech, I'm over there at City of Hamilton. My older brother's at Star Tech. My younger brother's at Mercy Health Fairfield. My sister's over here at Fort Hamilton. Now, for a while, she moved to Mason, so she was pretty much out of the family, but she's back now. And we're all sort of right there around Mom. I know this community is largely the same. It's one of the great things about communities in our entire viewing area with Local 12 is you have people who tend to stick around, and there's got to be a reason for that. Now, I know for a lot of people, maybe that's a little too provincial, right? You want to move out, you want to go do great things somewhere else, and I totally get that. But for me, it's always been a comfort to know that if something goes bad, and I got a relative probably about 3 miles away, which tends to make life a little bit easier. You know, when I was growing up, though, I didn't always know that whatever it is I do now was going to be the thing that I wanted to do. God rest his soul, my father was a cardiologist. And growing up, it was always sort of assumed that I was going to be the doctor. Believe it or not, I tended to do fairly well in school. And that was, everybody just sort of assumed that that was going to be sort of my path, that I would end up being the doc. And got all the way through high school and into college and was a pre-med major at Xavier when I started. And I was sitting in organic chemistry class one day. Okay, some of you have been there. Who has suffered through organic chemistry class? Come on, show of hands. The rest of you were smart enough just not to get involved. No, but I'm sitting in organic chemistry, and it was one of those moments, it was sort of an Oprah Winfrey kind of a thing. It was a lightning bolt kind of moment where I thought, this is just not what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. This isn't it. It wasn't I was doing terribly or whatever. It wasn't my thing. And that circles back to where I started again. If you're going to do a thing where it's your thing, you got to do your thing. For you, your business is your thing. And my thing, I realized very quickly, wasn't going to be organic chemistry and going to school for another 10 years. I was sitting in all these classes where I didn't get to talk. Shocker, love to talk. So I get about midway through my junior year of college, and I just start taking every single class at Xavier University that would allow me to talk. I took speech classes and acting classes and broadcasting classes and debate and whatever else I could sign up for. And so by about midway through, I guess my senior year of college, I found myself working in radio. And I love to share this story because it started as an internship in the summer between my junior and senior year. I started working at a place at 11:60 a.m. It's still on your dial, and the weather's got to be just right for you to get it. And I think they might do religious programming at this point. But my hand to God, at the time, they were dedicated to Northern Kentucky sports. That was it. No other sports, just Northern Kentucky sports. And their call letters at the time, WBOB. So I go and I'm working there, I'm interning there. I would get up, very similar to the hours I get up now, so not a lot has changed as far as that was concerned. I would get up in the morning, I would rip AP wire. That was back when we actually printed out things on pieces of paper and not everybody could just pull out their phone and know everything they needed to know, which, by the way, killing my business. Thanks. But I would rip, and I would get people coffee and do all the things you do as an intern when you're not getting paid, and waking up in the middle of the night to go do this. And I'll never forget one day I went in, and fella's there who doesn't normally do that shift. His name's Joe Speed. To this day, I don't know what Joe Speed's real name is, but that's what his radio name was, Joe Speed. So I'm like, Joe Speed? Herzog. Yes, Joe Speed. You come here every day like this? Joe Speed sounded nothing like that. I just give him that voice when I tell the story. I say, yes, Joe Speed, that's what I do. I get here every morning, and this is what I do. I get the news, and I just give it to people. Today, you're my news guy. And that was my first on-air moment ever in my career. Just because some guy whose name that I don't know decided I was going to be on air on a station specializing in Northern Kentucky sports. Never forget, I'm sitting there, and I got the big old headphones on, and the red light comes on. I couldn't speak, which, come on, I couldn't speak. It was a little strange. But I got through that one, and it led me to a job down there. And that's one of those moments where I'm sure you've had that moment in your business as well. The opportunity presented itself, and you had to go. You had to jump, right? That was the moment you had to seize upon, and you had to go. And so I went, and I did, and I talked. And next thing I know, I've got a job. It ended up, this little AM station, which was located in Florence, had a sister station on the FM dial, 106.5. Mix 106.5 country radio in Dry Ridge, Kentucky. Fantastic. I think they're 106.7 now. But anyway, so they're like, Bob, why don't you do a gig where you can do the news for both of those stations at once, and we will make you our news director. I'm 22. I effectively know nothing. But I've got a business card that says I'm the news director of a radio station. So I'm feeling pretty good about life. I tell this because there's another story I like to share from my brief radio career. You guys are familiar with country singer Garth Brooks, yes? Like biggest act in the world, especially in the mid-'90s. Still huge. I think best-selling act even this year in terms of touring. So Garth Brooks is sweeping through Cincinnati. Sweeping through for like 5 concerts, kind of like he did, not long ago. But this is back in the, late 90s, mid to late 90s. Well, unbeknownst to me, while Garth was in town, he was going to meet with every general manager of every country radio station in the area, including the general manager of Mix 106.5 in Dry Ridge, Kentucky, where I work. I've never met the general manager there because I'm getting up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning, driving to Dry Ridge, Kentucky, doing my radio stuff, driving to Xavier University for my senior year, taking all my classes, doing a play at night and doing the whole thing again. I'm 20 years old, whatever it is. Remember 20, when you were never tired, especially if you were doing something you liked to do? Wasn't that the best? Yeah, that's over. I'm tired all the time. I'm tired right now. I'm just so jacked up on Mountain Dew, you can't tell. But my point is this. The general manager, he gets to meet Garth Brooks. I don't know this is happening, and I certainly don't know that he has a tape recorder with him when he meets Garth Brooks. So I go in the next day after this has happened, and I'm getting ready to do my news report. And normally, a voiceover would come on when Northern Kentucky turns to news, kind of thing. But instead of that, I hear, hey, this is Garth Brooks. When I'm in Northern Kentucky, I get my news from Bob Herzog on Mix 106.5. As I'm sure you realize, my life at that moment was complete. I do my report. DJ comes on at the end, and we're bantering back on the air. We're doing the on-air banter that radio personalities and whatnot do. He said, hey, Bob, did you like that message from Garth off the top? I said, man, Ron, that was awesome. He said, you want to hear it the first time he tried to say that? I said, please, don't do what you're going to do. He hits the button, and I hear, as did everyone in Dry Ridge listening at the time, hey, this is Garth Brooks. When I'm in Northern Kentucky, I get my news from Bob. What the hell's his last name? Humbling. As I'm sure you have found in your business, humbling moments in small business. So I go through that whole whole stint, this radio thing that I was doing for a while. I ended up working a little bit down at a place called Traffic Watch downtown. They basically did traffic and some news reporting for any radio station in town that didn't get their traffic from John. Remember John Phillips up in the helicopter? You guys remember John Phillips? Basically, we did traffic for everybody else. Tiny little booth. You didn't really get to interact with people very much. I didn't like that job very much. But I graduate school. I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? You know, I've already had this conversation with my dad about not being a doctor, and now I'm kind of lost again. What am I going to do? And I see in the paper, I see an advertisement that says we're looking for actors to be in a touring children's theater company. I'm like, that sounds great. And so I auditioned, and I got that job, which was great. I was going around to schools. You know, sometimes maybe your kids have one of these things where right in the gym, you know, you have like 3 20-something people show up and they set up a thing and then they do a play. I was one of those guys. And it was great. And then I got married and I started having children. And children, they get hungry. They like to eat. Food costs money. And you kind of reach a place where you realize you can only dress in your King Arthur costume in the janitor's closet for so long before you're probably going to have to find a career that pays you a little more money. So I'm taking any job I could find. I'm doing weird jobs. Again, maybe a small business thing where you had to change course. Something changed. You had to do something different. That's where I was. I had to change course. I had to do something different. I liked what I was doing, but it wasn't quite getting the job done. So what am I going to do? I'm sitting, this is a true story, on a scaffolding about 6 stories above the earth on Fountain Square. I am literally helping set up the holiday decorations down on Fountain Square as a way to make some extra money because of the children and the eating and the money. And I look down. Why my father would have been at downtown Cincinnati at this moment, I have no idea. There was no reason for him to be there. But I look, freezing rain. Did I mention the freezing rain? Freezing rain pelting me as I'm up here and I'm hammering Santa into position or whatever. And I look, and there's my dad, cardiologist, educated man, he's terribly disappointed in his son. He's done a great job of hiding it. And this is true, I'll always remember making eye contact with my dad at that moment and thinking, what am I doing? It's really cold. I have no carpentarial skills. And I'm laying on a freaking scaffolding, hammering Santa up to the side of the fountain on Fountain Square. The next day, I signed up to take the LSAT so I could go to law school. Now, this is not the right reason to go to law school. You should be wanting to do something and make a difference in people's lives. Me, I was just trying to not be on scaffolding anymore. So I decided to go to law school. Right before I get that job, though, I get another job. Before I start going to school, I get another job because I see another notice. It's to be on Channel 64. They're looking for a couple of people to be movie hosts on the weekends. See, Channel 64, I think even to this day, they used to run 2 or 3 really bad movies in a row in the middle of the afternoon, and they needed a couple people to come on and talk about those movies, how bad they were. I got the job. So as I'm going through law school, I'm also doing this TV show. It only takes about 10 hours a week to do, but it's a little different because I'm doing this. Most people are, they're clerking for somebody. They're learning how to be a lawyer. I didn't really do that. And so I still graduated school, passed the bar, true story, and I go and I start working with a firm downtown doing probate stuff. But I'm also still doing this TV thing on the side because, again, it only takes about 10 hours a week, and I actually like it. So the day of my first trial arrives. It's probably my favorite story. I'll stop talking because once you get me going, Dan, I'll be up here forever, so just give me the hook when you're ready. So first trial. It's a true story. It was a contract dispute, really. This woman had a deck built on the back of her house. She didn't like it. She wanted money, and I was going to help her get it. I've never been in a courtroom before in my life. Ever. I got all the way through law school, passed the bar, and the only time I've ever been in a courtroom is when they swore me in. There's supposed to be another attorney there with me who actually knows what they're doing, sort of to hold my hand, walk me through, make sure. What happened on the day we were supposed to start to that other attorney? Something came up. Right? So they're not there. Now I'm alone, by myself, in the courtroom. I meet opposing counsel. I say, hello, I'm trying not to be sweaty. And I'm thinking, okay. This is okay. He's opposing counsel. Opposing. Opposite. I'm going to do the opposite of everything he does. That's my entire strategy. And so I'm sitting there, and at one point, other guys, he's questioning a witness. I'm sitting there, he's asking questions. I'm thinking, that's hearsay. They can't say that. I should totally object. But then I start thinking to myself, how do you object? Do you just do it like they do it on TV? Do you just literally yell out objection? This is all happening in my head in the span of about 5 seconds. And then it hits me. What would Tom Cruise do right now? And so from the depths of my very soul came this. Objection! In the most classic judge move ever. I mean, full on, pulled the glasses down to the end of the nose, turned to me like, boy, what is the matter with you? And just kind of did one of these, and I went, that is hearsay, Your Honor. And judge said sustained. I'm like, you're damn right, it's sustained. I objected the rest of that case. I just kept objecting to everything. We did not win. I like to think of it as a tie. We really didn't have a good case to begin with. We can get all the money, but we got a little bit back. But anyway, see, but sometimes you change course. Sometimes you change course. I ended up going back to 64, where I had the TV job on air already, because a full-time job had opened up there, doing their events, coordinating and contests and things. So I went to my wife shortly after going to not shortly after, but 4 years after going to my father to tell him I wasn't going to be a doctor, to tell my wife I wasn't going to be a lawyer. Excellent conversations to have both ways. And the job was going well. I enjoyed being at 64, but it was another one of those things. I kept having children. And you get to a point where you realize there's sort of a ceiling, and what are you going to do? And I was literally sitting at the airport one day, and I was getting ready to fly to London to do the movie junket for the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Because in my time after I had taken the full-time job at 64, I had made a lot of good connections with the local movie promoters, and occasionally I would get sent on these junkets. I didn't get paid, but they paid for me to go, which was pretty cool. But I didn't have any money. And one of the things you have to do when you're a lawyer is pay your dues to the Supreme Court of Ohio, which I was not, because I wasn't actively practicing. And I just didn't have the money for it. Well, unbeknownst to me, I think that's my third time using the term unbeknownst up here. I'm almost done, Dan, I swear. A list comes out every year with the names of attorneys who are about to have their licenses suspended. Guess whose name's on the list? Not because I've done anything bad, I yelled objection too loud or whatever, but I hadn't paid my dues. And so I am sitting at the airport, and my phone rings, and it's my wife. And she says, my dad just called. Why my father-in-law would have seen the list of attorneys who are about to have their licenses suspended is well beyond me, but he did. And so she starts crying, and I start crying. And I thought, you know what? This is it. I said, when I get back from this trip, I'm going to go back to good old Dan McKinney down at the law firm. I'm going to get my job back as an attorney, and this is it. Whatever this dream is that I'm trying to make happen, it's just not going to happen. I'm done. That's it. I'm out. I'm done. And I hung up. And I'm sitting at the airport, and I'm like heaving. I'm sobbing, and there's tears and snot and the whole deal. And 2 minutes later, after I hung up the phone with my wife, a gentleman named Elbert Tucker called me. Elbert Tucker was the news director at Channel 12 at the time. He and I had had a couple of conversations over the years. And he said, Bob, what are you doing right now? I'm going to London. But I explained to him what I was doing, and he said, we're about to make a big change in the morning show. We've never had an on-air traffic reporter before. And we're going to do that. And I think you're him. That was Christmas, just before Christmas, 2005. Hard to believe it's that not long ago. Between Christmas and New Year that year, less than 2 weeks later, I was at Channel 12, and my life has literally never been the same. It's one phone call. And I tell Elbert that all the time. I say, you changed my life with one phone call. The dream, whatever the dream was over. But for whatever reason, that phone call came. And so for you, I don't know what the application is to your business with that, but I'm sure you've all had hard times before. I'm sure you've all been ready to throw in the towel, be done with it. Easier to go work for somebody else than have to make every decision. Hold on. Phone call might come. Came for me. So that's all I've got today. Thanks for letting me share a little story with you, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. Informative, entertaining, and I will be there at 4:30 tomorrow morning. So, talking about careers and jobs, as chamber president, what a wonderful job I have. I get to work with the most interesting people, get to meet the most interesting people. And as you learn more about our award recipients today, you'll understand, too, why I am so honored to be part of this community and part of this business community. The Hamilton Heritage Award for Outstanding Community Involvement. This award has been in place for the past 16 years. This is the 16th year. And we have a list of recipients, which I'm going to be naming in just a few minutes, of past who have been honored in the past. But recipients of the Heritage Award exhibit a history of volunteering outside of their job. They go above and beyond in their volunteer efforts, and their work contributes to the betterment of the community. As I read the names of the past recipients, would you please stand, but hold your applause until the very end. Joe Ballou, Nancy Wiley, Mike Dingledine, Mary Pat Essman, Dave Lippert, Kathy Klink, and Tim Knapp. Last year's recipient, Tim Knapp, will be recognizing this year's recipient.
This isn't Rotary. What a great presentation Bob had for us. And one of the comments that Bob shared this afternoon was, again, seize the opportunity, seize the moment, take charge of what we're doing. Small business people, people of achievement, leaders in our community, step up and do what you may do to make the world a better place, make Hamilton a better place for tomorrow. We all work for the same outcome. We all work for the same successes. It's my honor this afternoon to be able to share with you another success story in Hamilton. Cindy Dingledine was recognized as a leader and is a leader. She was raised in Boardman, Ohio, just outside of Youngstown. She came to Cincinnati in 1976 to attend school at the University of Cincinnati College of Design and Architecture, Art and Planning. She never left the area. Cindy started a part-time job in Hamilton in 1984 when she was hired by Steen Hammond & Paul Architects. She split her time with her offices in Hamilton and Cincinnati, and it was there that she met her husband of 20 years, Mike. Cindy and Mike officially moved to Hamilton in 1995 when they purchased an historic home in Rossville Historic District. They have 17-year-old twin daughters, Emma and Isabel, who just started their senior year at Hamilton High School. After 28 years, Cindy retired as owner, principal partner, and vice president of interior design at SHP Leading Design. Her work with SHP included a variety of public and private sector projects, including the new elementary schools in Hamilton City School District, Fitton Center for the Creative Arts, Partners in Prime, and Ryan's Tavern. In 2012, Cindy and Mike co-founded Community Design Alliance with the goal of continuing a community-based architecture, design, and planning firm with a downtown Hamilton storefront in the Mercantile Lofts building. Cindy lists a past and present community involvement is impressive, to say the least. Past volunteer activities include member of the Key Communications Committee with the Hamilton City School District, Operation Pumpkin Planning Committee, City of Charter Committee, Historic Hamilton Board, and Leadership Hamilton Class 17 co-leader. Cindy is currently a member of the Downtown Holiday Lighting and One City Book Committees. She is on the board of the Miami Valley Ballet Theater. She is a current board member and past president chair of the Boys and Girls Club of Hamilton, Rossville Historic District, and the Presbyterian Church. She is also a member and past president of the Hamilton Garden Club and many other miscellaneous volunteer activities in support of the YMCA Camp Fitch, Fitton Center for Creative Arts, the Core Fund, Progressive Dinners, Hamilton Fairfield Symphony Orchestra, Downtown Holiday Window Decorating, and the Realtor Tour of Hamilton. She has been generous with pro bono design services and serves officially as Mike's right-hand woman. When she is not working at CDA or volunteering, and we don't know when that can be, Cindy enjoys sewing, reading, and crafting. Again, it's my honor to present Cindy Dingeldine.
Thank you very much for the Chamber for this award. Well, they say that it takes a village, and my village is a whole group of people who help me whenever I ask. We raise money for worthwhile causes, we brainstorm new ideas, we make things beautiful, and we have fun, and we build relationships with each other while we're doing that. This village of people is a talented and hardworking and generous group, and we all believe that Hamilton is a great place to call home. I want to thank each and every one of you for the support you've given me with all of these activities over the years. As we watch world events, sometimes I think we only have the power to positively shape our little corner of the world. Hamiltonians can and are doing that every single day. Together, we are Hamilton. Thank you.
Congratulations, Cindy, well deserved. As a relative newcomer to the community, I was always amazed until I met Cindy. I kept hearing her name because you can't possibly do anything in Hamilton that she's not involved. So thank you for all your involvement. On to Small Business Person of the Year. In selecting the Small Business Person of the Year, the committee looks for a person who has an independently owned and operated business. The business should be financially strong and have a history of growth, as well as having demonstrated management or product innovation and successful solutions to business problems. The recipient is also involved in the community and has a reputation for personal integrity and fair business practices. We have a number of people who have received this award in the past that are present today. Once again, I will be calling their names. Would you please stand as I do, but hold your applause until the very end. Bill Wilkes from Wilkes Insurance Agency. Neil Cohen, Cohen Hamilton Recycling Center. Ron Smith, American Printing, a division of One Point. Moody Baker, Baker and Associates, CPAs. Dave Lippert, Hamilton Castor. Craig Wilkes, Wilkes Insurance Agency. Bob Robinson, Kyvek. Jane Johnson, Quality Publishing. Sherry Armstead, Art On and Off Sims, and Eric Pullman, last year's recipient, Eric's Auto Service. Congratulations and thank you. Eric Pullman wanted to be here today, had 2 last-minute emergencies, and can't make it, so I'll be stepping in for him. Sarah Vallandingham was born in Nashville, Tennessee, to loving parents, John and Marilyn. She was the firstborn and big sister to brothers John and David. Sarah says that growing up in Nashville was pretty idyllic, with memories of hot summers, strong Southern accents, and sweet tea. One of her favorite memories is of her dad coming through the door carrying a large dollhouse, a gift to cheer her up while recuperating from a bad case of chicken pox. Instantly, her love for houses was born. Sarah attended Tribeca Nazarene University in Nashville, where she received her bachelor's degree. She later earned her master's degree in organizational management, an accomplishment she laughs at now, claiming she is one of the least organized or manageable people she knows. In 1992, Sarah married her husband, Dave. Living on a newlywed shoestring budget, they discovered their love for auctions, antiques, and repurposing. Every weekend, we would set out a different small town looking for antique shops, junk stores, anywhere we could find interesting, inspiring pieces, she says. Much like her personal decorating style, Sarah says her career path has been eclectic. She's worked as a human resource liaison, a college recruiter, and even a songwriter for world records in the mid-1990s. For many years, she was a stay-at-home mom to their daughter Maria and son Drew. During that time, she was very active in her church, but she also established her own decorating business. But life drastically changed in 2012. Faced with an opportunity to fulfill a lifelong dream of owning her own shop, she opened Sarah's House in Bridgewater Falls. With very little retail experience, Sarah took what she calls the leap of a lifetime. Sometime in 2013, she met Sherry Armstead from Art and Off Sims. Sherry shared with her the great things happening in Hamilton, telling her she had to meet Mike Dingledine. The rest is history. In May 2014, Sarah's house moved from Bridgewater Falls to the newly renovated storefront at 254 High Street, a space that had been occupied by a bail bondsman for a few months prior. Sarah says that she and Dave felt an immediate draw to their building, even though it was covered in blue metal siding with virtually no appeal. We just knew we were meant to live there, even if people thought we were crazy. Within a year of Sarah's house moving to High Street, Dave and Sarah began their process of purchasing the building from the Corps Fund. After much demolition and renovation, they sold their house in the suburbs, bought the building, and moved their family to the urban loft above their store. Sarah says, "We couldn't love it more, especially as Hamilton continues to transform. It's also convenient for the occasional run from the shop to the kitchen for a brownie." Since opening Sarah's house in Hamilton, Sarah has been very active in the community. She is one of the founding members of Alive After 5, and she also serves on the executive board of the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce and the Special Improvement District Board. To me, Sarah is a pioneer on High Street, and she is a hero to the Hamilton business community. Sarah.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting today, to our President, Dan Bates, Nancy, Tiffany, Tammy, and Laura, and to our sponsors today as well. From my perspective, this award is very undeserved, especially when I hear the list of previous recipients. However, I am really grateful for the opportunity to express my appreciation to some special people, so if you'll indulge me, I'd like to do that. I would first like to thank my kids, Maria, who is here today, and Drew, who is not. Your life changed completely when your mom decided to open a business, but you got on board, and in fact, you guys thrived. When Dave and I came to you just a few short years later and said, okay, we've got this idea, We want to sell the house you've always lived in and move into an old building that's currently filled with about 50,000 pounds of debris. What do you think? You went for it again, and in fact, you helped us so much. Thank you for seeing the vision, and more so, thank you for making us proud every single day. We love you. And to Dave, my husband, the sign may say Sarah's house, but there should be parentheses that read, but everything good in here comes from Dave. Not only do you help keep that shop going, you help keep me going. And I love you so much. You are definitely the rock of our family, and you are the fun parent, so congratulations to that. And to my family who is here today, my sweet in-laws, Larry and Sharon, my brother David, thank you so much for your support all of these years. To our dear friends, Bob and Aaron Robinson, like Bob Herzog, you are our one phone call. We love you. We appreciate your friendship and your family. And to my beautiful, wonderful parents, John and Marilyn, if I do anything good ever in this world, it will be because of you and the example that you have led of loving people and being kind and gracious and generous. Dad, I was recently thinking about you and I sitting around that little kitchen table, you trying to help me with my algebra homework, me in full-on tears not getting it. I don't think either one of us would have thought that I would ever own my own business, but I do, and I got an accountant. So good advice. I really want to just say a word to all the other small business owners. You are my heroes. You are the hardest working people I know. You inspire me every day, and I have to say, I think we share something special here in Hamilton, and that is camaraderie. As our city continues to grow, I hope that that camaraderie remains. And then also to all of our amazing customers, thank you for 5 years of incredible support. Thank you for allowing our family to become part of yours. I love the life that we share together through social media and all those outlets, but especially through what happens up there on the corner of 3rd and High. I love our conversations. You are dear friends. And then to Mike Dingledine and the Core Fund, our family is living out the vision of that program, and we could not love it more. And then finally, to our amazing city leadership from City Council, Mayor Moeller and Joshua Smith, our leadership, you all are steering the ship so well. In fact, all of our city employees, from economic development to our police department, fire department, utilities, parks, thank you for everything you do every day to make this community a place in which small businesses can be successful. As I look out here, I see so many people who I not only admire, but I consider to be really good friends, people who I perhaps didn't even know 3 years ago. And I think we all would agree that we're living in magical days here in Hamilton, not because we're lucky, but because we are witnessing what happens when you apply hard work and determination to perseverance and dedication and creativity. And honestly, I am just grateful to be here. My parents raised me to believe that every good gift comes from God. And I just have to say, Hamilton, you have been one of his greatest gifts to me. Thank you so much.
Wow. Now you can see why these two ladies are being recognized today. I want to do a special thanks to the Small Business Person of the Year Selection Committee. In addition to myself, the other committee members were Joe Ballou, the Chamber Chairman, Mayor Pat Moeller, Eric Pullman from Eric's Auto Service, Terry Bouquet and Jenny Burcham from Cox Media Group, and Ron Smith from American Printing. I want to also thank the Chamber Centennial sponsors, Barclay Card, Butler Tech, City of Hamilton, Fort Hamilton Hospital, Mercy Health, Fairfield Hospital, and StarTech. Thanks again to our event sponsors, First Financial Bank and Fort Hamilton Hospital. And I want to thank you all for joining us today, with a special thank you to the Journal News, TV Hamilton, and Inside Out Studio, who made the beautiful customized awards. Thank you very much, and thanks for joining us today.